As for the question, is it obligatory for the women to recite aloud during the Fajr, Maghrib and Isha prayers? Then this question, I will deal with it in two parts. Firstly, al-jahr bil-qira'ah fi salat al-jahriyah, reciting aloud in the loud prayers. Naam, Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen, he mentioned that al-jahr bil-qira'ah fi salat al-jahriyah laysa ala sabil al-wujub, reciting aloud in the loud prayers is not an obligation, bal huwa ala sabil al-afdaliyah, it's something that is better. It's superior, naam, because that is what we find in the practice of the sunnah. فلو أن الإنسان قرأ سرا فيما يشرع فيه الجهر لم تكن صلاته باطلة. So if a person was to recite silently when it is legislated to recite aloud, their prayer would not be invalid, their prayer would be correct. صلاته صحيحة, نعم. لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال, because the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said, there is no prayer for the one who does not read, the one who does not recite the mother of the book, meaning Surah Al-Fatiha. ولم يقيد هذه القراءة بكونها جهرا أو سرا. And the Prophet ﷺ did not stipulate whether this recitation is to be aloud or silent. So if a person was to recite that which was obligatory upon them to recite silently or aloud, then they fulfilled the obligation. فَقَدْ أَتَى بِالْوَاجِبِ. He said, yes, it is better, it's superior to recite aloud if the sunnah is to recite aloud. Like the first two rak'ahs of Al-Maghrib and Isha and Salat Al-Fajr, Jum'ah, and other than that. Now, he gives other examples. And again, he stated, so if a person was to intentionally recite silently when the sunnah is to recite aloud, then their prayer would be correct. Salatu sahiha, he said, lakinna naqisa, but it would be deficient because the sunnah is to recite aloud in that scenario. Naam. Moving on to the second part, Habidukum Allah, then what about women? What about women? Then Shaykh ibn Baz rahimahullah, he was asked this question and he said, Allah shara'a li ibadi al-jahr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated for his servants to recite aloud in Fajr and the first two rak'ahs of Al-Maghrib and Al-Isha. He said, هذا عام للرجال والنساء. This is general for men and women. Because the rules and the regulations of the Sharia are am. He mentions a beautiful principle that we should remember. The rulings and the regulations of the Sharia are am. They're general for men and women. إلا ما خصه الدليل, unless there is a text to specify it to men or to specify it to women. And from the proofs to support that principle, brothers and sisters, is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. نعم إنما النساء شقائق الرجال. Women are but counterparts of men. So yes, the rulings and the regulations of the Sharia are general for men and women unless we have a proof making it specific to men or making something specific to women. So Shaykh ibn Baz, he continued, he said, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislated for the prayer to be recited aloud in Al-Fajr and in the first two rak'ahs of Al-Maghrib and likewise Al-Isha. So the woman, yes, she recites aloud in a manner that is beneficial for her and also those that she is leading in prayer. However, na'am, there's an exception. If there are men who are ajanib, strangers, not lawful for her, around her, then that which is better for her, adam al-jahr laha. She should not recite aloud at that time because it is possible that the man will be put to trial and test with her voice, her recitation. So it is better in that specific scenario to not recite aloud. نعم. والله أعلم وجزاكم الله خيرا.